Habitat fragmentation caused by human development divides one's continuous landscapes into isolated patches, disrupting ecosystems and threatening biodiversity. And the consequences are dire, with species facing increased risk of extinction and reduced resilience. So this is Glenorchy Conservation Area, a 1,000-acre haven which offers a solution to the habitat fragmentation crisis by creating ecological corridors in Oakville, Ontario. Stick around to the end of the video to learn all about how places like Glenorchy are saving threatened plants and wildlife, ensuring a future where nature thrives alongside human development. So before we talk about ecological corridors, let's talk about why they're needed. Habitat fragmentation is a process that occurs when large, continuous habitats are divided into smaller, isolated patches, almost like islands. And this fragmentation can be caused by various human activities, such as urban development, agriculture, and the construction of roads and other infrastructure. In the Oakville area, we've witnessed firsthand how these activities can lead to the fragmentation of once thriving ecosystems. And the consequences of habitat fragmentation are severe and far-reaching. When habitats are broken up into smaller pieces, the populations of species living within them become isolated from one another. And this isolation can lead to reduced genetic diversity, as individuals from different populations are no longer able to interact and breed with one another. Over time, this can make species more vulnerable to disease, environmental changes, and other threats, ultimately leading to population declines and even extinctions. But all is not lost, and this is where ecological corridors enter the scene, and Glenorchy Conservation Area is at the forefront of this solution. So ecological corridors are areas of land or water that connect fragmented habitats, allowing species to move and interact with one another. And these corridors can take many forms, from narrow strips of vegetation between developed areas to wide swaths of protected land that span entire regions. And Glenorchy Conservation Area is a prime example of how ecological corridors can make a real difference in the fight against habitat fragmentation. So Glenorchy Conservation Area is one of my favorite places to just come and walk around and explore. It's always so quiet. There's hardly any people that come down and explore the entire area, and there's all kinds of different trees and plants. There's the stream that runs all the way through it. It really is just an amazing place to enjoy nature in an urban area. And this is a prime area to see all kinds of local wildlife, different native species, birds, reptiles, fish, coyotes, deer, pretty much the entire suite of available mammals, insects, birds are all in this conservation area, which really highlights the impact of creating these ecological corridors in these urban areas. So by creating and maintaining ecological corridors, Glenorchy is providing a vital lifeline for wildlife in the Oakville area. These corridors allow species to migrate and disperse, helping to maintain genetic diversity and population health. They also promote ecosystem resilience, enabling species to adapt to changing environmental conditions and recover from disturbances more easily. Also, ecological corridors provide a range of other benefits, such as preserving vital ecosystem services like pollination, water filtration, and carbon sequestration. They also offer opportunities for recreation and education, allowing people to connect with nature and learn about the importance of conservation. So let's take a closer look at Glenorchy Conservation Area and its ambitious restoration plan. With a goal of creating connected habitats, Glenorchy is setting a new standard for conservation in this region. And the restoration work at Glenorchy involves a range of activities, from planting native trees and shrubs to creating wetlands and grasslands. By carefully selecting plant species and designing habitats to mimic natural ecosystems, the conservation area is creating a mosaic of interconnected landscapes that support a wide range of wildlife. And the benefits of this restoration work are already being seen. Endangered and threatened species, such as the Jefferson salamander and bobolink, are finding refuge in the newly created habitats. The conservation area is also supporting the broader network of protected areas that span the entire region. And I just want to give a big shout out to Conservation Halton, who's the conservation authority for this area, who actively maintains and restores and keeps track of everything that's going on with places like the Glenorchy Conservation Area. And they've done an excellent job of making this place what it is and restoring it to its full potential. But Glenorchy is more than just a local success story. It serves as a model for other ecological corridor projects, demonstrating that with dedication and hard work, we can make a real difference in the fight against habitat fragmentation. So while the importance of ecological corridors in rural and wilderness areas is well known, their role in urban environments like Oakville is often overlooked. However, urban ecological corridors are just as critical, if not more so, for maintaining biodiversity and ecosystem health in developed landscapes. So in cities and towns where natural habitats are often heavily fragmented by roads, buildings, and other infrastructure, ecological corridors provide a vital lifeline for wildlife. They allow species to move between remaining patches of habitat, helping to maintain genetic diversity and population health. They also provide a range of other benefits, such as reducing the urban heat island effect, improving air and water quality, and providing opportunities for recreation and education. So when you're in Glenorchy, it feels like you're in the middle of kind of a nature paradise. But in reality, over to my left over there, there's all kinds of farms, there's a golf course, there's roads, highways, and then over to the right over there, there's a major highway and a bunch of suburban developments with houses and stores and big box stores. So you're really in the middle of a pretty large urban area with hundreds of thousands of people. But when you're in Glenorchy itself, it feels like you're in the middle of the wilderness, and that's kind of a special feeling in the middle of such a large urban center. And Glenorchy is far from the only example of ecological corridors in Canada, as this is also being worked on at the federal level. So the National Program for Ecological Corridors, launched by Parks Canada, aims to support the conservation of ecological corridors in key areas across the country. By collaborating with various levels of government, Indigenous partners, experts, and stakeholders, the program seeks to develop national criteria for ecological corridors that protect and restore ecological connectivity. And the objectives include identifying and mapping priority areas where ecological corridors could halt and reverse biodiversity loss, supporting on-the-ground work through funding for conservation, restoration, and management, and inspiring others to take measures in support of ecological connectivity. And this initiative complements the existing work of protected and conserved areas in Canada, which is crucial for protecting and restoring biodiversity, addressing the impact of climate change, and contributing to the recovery of species at risk. Check out the links in the description to learn more about ecological corridors in Canada. So what can you do to help? Start by getting involved in local conservation efforts. Volunteer your time, donate to organizations working to create and maintain ecological corridors, and advocate for habitat connectivity in your community. Every action, no matter how small, makes a big difference. So let's take inspiration from this incredible project and work together to create a world where wildlife can roam freely and where the beauty and diversity of nature are protected for generations to come. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.